Recently, the Iraqi government announced an ambitious plan to build a modern subway in the capital Baghdad. The subway is 148 kilometers long and has a total investment of up to 18 billion US dollars. There is no doubt that this is a very large infrastructure project. At first, many people thought that this project would be handed over to China. After all, China imports 30 million tons of oil from Iraq every year and has helped them build a lot of roads, schools, power stations, and other infrastructure. In addition, China has a reputation as a big infrastructure country in the world, and all aspects of the conditions for building subways are very mature. However, surprisingly, Chinese companies were not selected in this bidding. In the end, Iraq chose a consortium composed of companies from Germany, France, Spain, and Turkey to undertake this project. So, is Iraq a stab in the back to China? What happened behind the scenes? If you like our video content, please click to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can receive all our latest video content. Now, let's get into today's topic. Iraq is located in the Middle East, a region full of conflicts and opportunities. Although Iraq's oil reserves are not as high as Saudi Arabia, its reserves of 145 billion barrels are definitely not to be underestimated, ranking fourth in the world. In the last century, Iraq's GDP per capita once reached $5,500, and its economic development was quite impressive at the time. But the problem is that Iraq's geographical location is too important. It is located in the heart of the Middle East and has always been the focus of competition among global powers. For example, the Soviet Union once had high hopes for Iraq, hoping to expand its sphere of influence by supporting this country. Although the Soviet Union invested a lot of resources and time, it ultimately failed to achieve its goal and could only return empty-handed. Then in 2003, things changed. Western countries bypassed the UN Security Council and launched military action on the grounds that Iraq was hiding weapons of mass destruction and secretly supporting terrorist organizations. To be honest, the war lasted for more than 7 years, but the so-called weapons of mass destruction were not found in the end. Interestingly, the end of the war seemed to be more related to oil. However, the long-term war destroyed the country's infrastructure and also caused social order to fall into chaos. After years of post-war baptism and precipitation, Iraq began to gradually restore its independence. As the political situation gradually stabilized, the Iraqi government began to shift its focus to economic reconstruction, especially in the field of infrastructure. The government's attitude was very clear. This is the key to recovery. As the political, economic, and cultural center of Iraq, Baghdad has huge development potential. But the traffic problem here has long been a major obstacle to urban development. In particular, severe traffic congestion has become a bottleneck restricting urban modernization. In order to completely solve this problem and improve the overall image of the city, the Iraqi government officially announced an ambitious plan in February this year to build a subway in Baghdad. It is understood that the total length of the Baghdad subway project will reach 148 kilometers, and as many as 70 stations will be set up along the way. In order to build this subway, Iraq plans to invest a total of up to 18 billion US dollars in the entire project and is almost going all out to promote the project. But we all know that although Iraq is a country rich in oil resources, this is a quite huge investment for a country still in social turmoil. In addition, the time pressure on this project is not small. The current plan is to officially start construction in August 2025, and the entire construction period is expected to be 36 months. But after the project is completed, the Baghdad Metro will cover 85% of the city, significantly improving the traffic problems in this metropolis with a population of more than 8 million. What's even cooler is that this metro line will also cross the Tigris River in 3 places, which will further enhance the city's connectivity. For the Iraqi government, the Baghdad subway project is not just a transportation project. but more like a symbol of national rejuvenation and the carrier of dreams. But the problem is that Iraq's current comprehensive national strength is relatively weak, and the level of infrastructure construction still has a lot of room for improvement. Even for some seemingly ordinary skyscrapers, it may be difficult for local infrastructure teams to complete them independently. What's more, building such a large-scale subway system covering the capital will be completed within 3 years. In order to ensure the smooth progress of this project, the Iraqi government issued a public tender to the world, hoping to attract experienced and powerful international companies to participate. In February 2024, 26 multinational companies from countries such as China, India, Germany, Italy, Spain, and Turkey expressed interest in participating in the project, and many of them have officially submitted bids. In fact, when the Iraqi government announced the bidding list, many people had already determined that this project would most likely be handed over to China. After all, China has helped Iraq build many large-scale infrastructure projects before, such as the Halfaya oil field, cement plants, heavy oil power plants, demonstration schools, and even Iraq's iconic streets. Moreover, most of the funds for these projects are also provided by China, with a clear purpose: to promote Iraq's education and economic and social development. Therefore, when seeing Chinese companies on the Baghdad metro bidding list, many people felt that this project would most likely be built by China. What is more worth mentioning is that in this bidding, the project amount given by the Chinese engineering team was only $17.2 billion, which was $800 million less than the $18 billion initially estimated by the Iraqi government. And the Chinese team also promised that although it is a bit unrealistic to complete such a large-scale subway project within 3 years, it can be guaranteed to be completed smoothly within 4 to 5 years. In contrast, many European countries have stated that it will take at least 5 years to complete the construction. Therefore, whether in terms of cost or construction period, China's advantages are very obvious. But to everyone's surprise, Iraq finally chose to exclude China and handed over the Baghdad metro to European countries such as Germany, France, Spain, and Turkey. What is going on? Why didn't Iraq choose China this time? As far as I know, in today's complex international situation, Iraq's Baghdad metro project has almost become a new battlefield for the struggle of major powers. Among them, major powers such as the United States, China, and the European Union are secretly competing, trying to expand their influence in the Middle East through this project. For Iraq, which has just recovered from the war, this is undoubtedly an extremely difficult choice. So Iraq needs to cleverly maintain a balance between these powerful forces, but this is not an easy task. Of course, Western countries have officially withdrawn their troops from Iraq, but their influence still exists and cannot be underestimated. At the same time, in recent years, Iraq's relationship with Western countries has become more distant, and its cooperation with China has become more frequent. This change has undoubtedly weakened the influence of European countries in the Middle East to some extent. Therefore, some analysts believe that although Iraq's post-war reconstruction project is open to the public, from some perspectives, Iraq's final choice of the European Union may not only be due to economic considerations, but may also be forced by some political factors and external pressures. In fact, there are different voices behind the choice of Baghdad metro. First of all, price is undoubtedly an important consideration. Although the European consortium solution is more expensive, the Iraqi government may value their financing solutions and technical capabilities more. European companies have promised to provide loan support for the project and have rich experience in project management, which is obviously influencing Iraq's decision. It is worth noting that although the Baghdad subway project was eventually won by a consortium of enterprises, for these countries, undertaking this project does not mean smooth sailing, but rather there are many challenges. According to current data, the cost of Baghdad metro is more than $100 million per kilometer, which sounds very attractive to the contractor. But the reality is that the current Iraqi government has no ability to invest such a large sum of money in infrastructure construction. Not to mention a one-time payment, even if it is paid in 3 installments, it is still a huge pressure for them. For those companies that have won the bid, in order to recover the cost, they can only hope for the income brought by the subway operation. However, the situation in Iraq is not stable, and the future is also full of uncertainty. No one can guarantee whether the next government will recognize the agreement signed by the current government, and such variables make the project full of risks. Not only that, the Baghdad subway project also faces many practical challenges. Baghdad's geological structure is quite complex. And don't forget that Iraq is one of the 4 ancient civilizations, and there are many precious historical relics and cultural relics buried underground. These precious cultural heritages must not be destroyed, so the difficulty of subway construction in such an environment can be imagined. Although the winning bidders include Germany and France, and their technology and experience in subway construction are indeed trustworthy, it is still a huge challenge to complete such a huge project in such a short time. According to the plan, an average of about 140 meters of tunnel excavation needs to be completed every day, and the construction of ground stations must be promoted simultaneously. This places very high demands on time management and construction efficiency. So, although companies from Germany, France, Spain, and Turkey have successfully won the Iraqi subway project, it does not mean that things will go smoothly. Many experts have long analyzed that due to various complex factors, these countries may encounter difficulties during the project and may even have to consider subcontracting part of the project to Chinese companies to complete this complex work. However, in my opinion, no matter who finally completes the construction of this subway, the most important thing is to hope that it can bring some long-lost peace and prosperity to Iraq. In the next 3 years, the Baghdad Metro project will undoubtedly become the focus of global attention. Can European companies take over this huge project and complete it on schedule? This will definitely attract attention from all parties. What do you think? Can European companies really complete this project smoothly? To not miss out on our future projects and news updates, please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We will continue to provide you with more exciting and interesting content.